Just spinning. Hi.
You're never quite sure when it's going to turn on. So you
know.
put your smiley face on and then just be like, are we recording? Okay, go. I suddenly feel like I now know people who are like reporting live from the scene. Like,
right. And they're like, oh, right. Yes. All right. Well, we are live right now.
We are.
And my name is Ben Lustig.
And my name is Jake Thornton. This is Chinatown, Jake.
Yes. This is Chinatown, Jake. And welcome to episode 6 of Ben and Jake Write a Movie.
Totally.
We're actually thinking we might change the name. I'm not sure. We're still kind of working this
out. There you go. Quick poll. What do you think we should call this?
Right?
Ben and Jake Write a Movie is simple, but like Project Greenlight, you go, ooh, yeah.
Right.
Fighting.
Yeah.
That's that.
My suggestion was, why don't we call it Project Spec?
Could do. Also,
maybe.
So Ben's suggestion, projects. I haven't got any title options at the moment, so I'm coming with nothing. It's definitely an option.
We are
also movie. It's kind of
we're also broadcasting today at a different time. It's 2 p.m. On the West Coast. We're going to be trying out a bunch of different times, testing the waters, seeing what might work the best based on when people are around.
Proof.
So, and I promise we will also get better at announcing when we're going live so that people know that we're going
maybe we'll
live.
Do it at specific times on specific days so that people can schedule their lives around us.
Of course. But look, if you do miss us live, it's okay because we have, look at this fancy thing. We have a YouTube channel that you can subscribe to there.
That's really easy. Let me just write that down. UC4M.
And sadly, I actually don't think you can click on it, which is really annoying.
But here's the thing. Here's what you can do to help right now. Help us make this link easier. Because then you have to have subscribers and hours watched. So just watch all of this and then subscribe to the channel as well. And then it'll just be youtube.com channel Lustig Thornton. This is what
That's right. We'll make it really easy. And even better, like watch, subscribe, and then tell your friends to watch and subscribe too.
Totally.
But if you don't like YouTube, we also have Facebook.
Oh, that's much easier. That's much easier. Look at that. Facebook.com/Lustig Thornton.
Yes. See, we're getting better. At all this stuff, and we will continue to improve. Yeah. But today it is Monday. Man, Mondays are tough sometimes as a writer because you've had Saturday and Sunday with all the regular things in your life, and you come back Monday and you go, what were we talking about on Friday?
That happens so often, and ultimately it comes down to the writing and maintaining of good notes.
Yes.
I think in TV rooms, they have people specially for the taking of notes. They tend to be lower level writer positions who are always keeping the notes about everything that's talked about for precisely moments like what happens when you come back a day after, a few days later, or, a weekend, or just revisiting a conversation that you had 2 or 3 weeks ago about something. So, but obviously when it's just you or just you and a partner, it can be very, very, very easy to forget the train of thought. So usually for the first X amount minutes when we're revisiting a project, it's us kind of reconnecting back into what we were talking about. However, luckily, we have our own note taker. And who is that note taker? It's YouTube.
It's YouTube. Well, thankfully, we refreshed ourselves just a little so we don't have to bore you with everything. But if you did not watch episode 5, I would recommend you go back and watch it. Mm-hmm. It was so entertaining.
It was excellent. One of our best.
It was great. But we were talking about macro structure things. We were talking about arcs. And we very specifically were also talking about where do our characters start and where do they end. Mm-hmm. And talking very much about how do we then break it down into what is our kind of 4-piece structure. And we landed on some really good stuff. We really talked about kind of Sam, who we're calling our hero, our human hero,
Human hero.
and the fact that she, as a normal person, goes from someone who really, you know, doesn't have the confidence to necessarily do what she wants in her life. She's
Right.
powerless, so to speak. And
Yeah.
then over the course of the movie, she gains that agency, gains that power, and by the end, realizes that she has the ability to make any choice, her own choice.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to be the Antichrist.
Doesn't want to be. And that's the theme of the movie. You don't have to be the Antichrist if you
don't have to.
Absolutely. On a t-shirt.
Right, right. Yes. And our secondary hero that we're just calling the demon because we don't actually have a name for them yet, really is going to start also similarly and parallel, wanting to be human, feeling like they can't be the person or the demon that they want to be as a demon, only realizing that actually it's not about what you are, it's about who you are and the choices that you make. And thus she also or he also evolves in that way. So let's go into, unless you have another idea, Jake, but let's go into kind of, I think, some breaking down of some macro structural things that we would normally do, I think, at this point, just to kind of piece out the 3-act or 4-sequence structure that we would usually do and need to do.
Great.
So
let's get our document up right now. I've actually got to open my screen, so I'll close it on mine. So you can open it on your end, and I'll look at it on your screen.
Great. So here we go.
Well, just so you know as well, people, people, the way that me and Ben typically work, we actually don't live in the same state. I live up in Washington State. Ben lives down in Los Angeles. We used to do this over a table every day, but I moved away a couple of years ago. And so now what we do is we will always be sharing a screen. So while we'll be FaceTiming over one screen, we also use Apple's Messenger screen sharing ability to look at the same screen. Not just look at the same screen, we literally can edit that document too. So I will be looking at Ben's screen, Ben will be looking at mine, whatever. And so that's the way that we work over long distances. So we make that work very well, and we do this 8 or 9 days a week, 8 or 9 hours a week, right? 8 or 9 hours a day. You know what I'm trying to say. Shut up.
All right. So really, I think like the way we would normally start, obviously, we have our Act 1, and then we're going to have our Act, what we call our Act 2.1, which is really your first half of Act 2. And then we have your Act 2.2. And we have our Act 3. Now, the reason that we do a 2.1 and 2.2 is because generally the second act is approximately, if the movie's 2 hours, it's an hour. So you've got your half-hour Act 1, your full hour of Act 2, and then you've got your half-hour of Act 3. Now, realistically speaking, most movies aren't exactly 2 hours, and it's really more about the story than anything else.
Yes, and I think that's the important thing, is we're not going by minute. We're not going, well, hang on a minute, we're 40 pages in, 40 minutes in, we're way over Act 1. It doesn't matter. These are just broad conceptual ideas. Sometimes you have very, very quick Act 1s. And let's just really talk about what we mean by Act 1. We really mean the kind of setup of the character, what sometimes is called the inciting incident, the moment where our main character, our main protagonist, is knocked off course, presented with information, shown a mission, and then ultimately decides to or not accept that mission, go on that journey, go on that quest. It's very mythic stuff. It's very Joseph Campbell, and there are myriad other spin-offs of that. You can look even in back to screenplay, etc., things like that. But that's generally the paradigm with which we fit into. At the end of that opening act, the hero has in some way decided to commit to their journey and is then doing so. So that's what we mean really by Act One.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny. Like you were talking about the page count. What's really interesting, I think, about screenplays is that there is a kind of common wisdom about where things should happen on what page, and I do think that you're right. We aren't like beholden to that,
Mm.
but it's not a bad kind of benchmark for going, am I in the ballpark here? Like, am I, or is this crazy? And if it is, am I doing it for a specific reason?
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
if you don't have, you know, your inciting incident and you're on page 30 already, you might just want to look at your story and go, is there a real reason that I'm waiting this long to actually get this movie off the ground?
Totally.
Because there is a general sense also, and you know, whether we like it or not, producers and studio executives do look at very specific turning points that happen in movies, and they want to see certain things where they go.
But let's just break it down. Let's take producers and out of it altogether. Let's go. You are reading a script. You get a script and you're reading it. At what point do you go, oh, this thing has happened, I have to keep reading? You know, and that should be, again, it's not to rush that. It's not to get that as early as possible. I don't agree with that. But there comes a point where you're in, or you're like, nothing's happening in this story. And if nothing is happening in this story that's making you go, oh, I really want to keep reading, then that is at the root of it. And so I think ultimately the reason that a producer or screenwriting guru or screenwriting book says, hey, maybe at about some point between pages 10 and 15, you might want to have your hero experiences something that's going to pull them further or deeper into a story that is going to become the rest of the film. There's a reason for that, because after 10 or 15 pages, you, I think, as just a human being, are waiting for that moment to pull you into what this story is going to be.
So well, I know for me as a reader and even as a movie watcher, if I'm half an hour into a movie or 30 pages into a script and I don't know what the hell's going on and I don't know what this movie's about, I'm checked out at that point. Like it's just too long.
Yeah.
And also, you know, just to be transparent with everyone, we do look at page count. That is important to us as screenwriters. In fact, we haven't written a script or turned in a script that's 120 pages, for an example, in a very long time. We have gotten used to, over the course of our career, realizing that shorter is better. In fact, The Princess, I believe when we turned it in, was 86 pages.
86 pages.
So, I mean, sub 90, which we were shocked that we could even do, but it was so much action and so much fun that it roared. But also, there's an example of a movie whereby that inciting incident happened before the movie ever started.
Right.
So, interestingly enough, like, and we made that conscious choice. We started that movie from the very beginning going, we're going to start and we're already in action. And so you have to know what those beats are in order to make those choices, but you can make fun and interesting choices.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because I would even say, looking at The Princess, and again, I'm only looking at this in retrospect and hindsight. So in The Princess, she breaks out of her bonds in the first minute or two of the film. And then she makes her way to a room and she looks out. And what does she see? She sees her parents have been held captive. And that's the moment she goes, I have to free my parents. And so that then becomes...
Yeah, but that's like the end. That's almost end act one. That's her making a choice to go forward.
Sure.
Right?
Totally.
In a way, it's like our act one in that movie. Well, let's be clear. Our script was very different than the movie.
It was. And again, this is an interesting example of playing with structure. Like, it's there to guide you. And if you want to, for a reason, throw it out, then do it. But at least know that you're doing it.
Yeah, and there's some great scripts that don't follow any sort of real massive structure. But I think what we like to do, and we even did it with The Princess, is we start with the basics. Because once you go, okay, at least these moments for our characters are going to happen, you can then make the choice and go, you know what? Okay, in The Princess, you know what happens? The castle gets attacked and she's kidnapped and she's put at the top of the tower. We know that that's the inciting incident of this movie. We also know that we would want an example of her ordinary life pre that. So what we did is we figured that out. There was a draft whereby that all happened in order, exactly the way that we would normally do it. And then we said, well, what if that inciting incident had already happened and we only learn about all that stuff through these flashbacks, and that we start the movie straight off in action? And now some people loved that about the movie, some people didn't like that about the movie, but it was a choice. And the only reason we could make that choice is because we had already done this.
Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely. And like you said, we had that whole draft where it was, you started off with that opening moment. The movie always started off that way, but then you did a, 12 hours earlier or 6 weeks out, whatever it was. Like,
there was a draft we did for the studio where it didn't even start that way.
That's true.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
There was a draft that we did for Fox because they'd asked us to, whereby we started with the wedding.
That's right, we did.
So things go through changes, but as long as you know the emotional beats and that there is a structure and that there is a format to storytelling as a whole, then you can make wild and crazy choices, and that's totally fine.
And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the movie The Princess, a movie that came out July 1st on Hulu and Disney Plus. So
watch it. It's super fun.
Great. All right then. So I'm having this question, and it was interesting what we were talking about last week when you watched The Terminator. So as you said during last week's episode on that, again, check it out if you haven't already, was you don't meet Sarah Connor for the first 12 minutes. So what do we think about that? I have two thoughts about it. So the first is, wouldn't it be interesting if you were just with Sam for the first part of it, and you're with them, and perhaps you've seen, the demon, something happen with the demon, but the question I'm having is what if you didn't, and this person turned up? It was just like, by the way, you're the Antichrist.
It's certainly a possibility. I guess, while it was really unique, in The Terminator, I feel like the reason it worked so well was because of a few things. One, you had this very brief but very cool setup of this future world. And then you're sending these two people back in time, and essentially watching both of their experiences the moment they get to our time. And it took a while to do that justice. So that's part of why I think it took so long. It wasn't just let's wait 15 minutes to meet Sarah. It was, there's a reason that we need to spend time, because number one, it's really intriguing for the audience. It set up tension right away. We were like, oh shit, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? What's going on? How is this? We just were shown on the screen, like, the war for the future happens tonight. And then here we are, and this cool shit's happening. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is naked, and you even get full frontal. And so you're just engaged. But that being said, I do think that there was a real reason to do it that way. If we have a similar reason from a storytelling perspective, then I'm down, but I do feel like Sam in this, our Samantha, is the main hero. She is the one who's going to go on the most significant change for this journey. We do want to spend the right amount of time setting up who she is and what she's doing in life, to give that journey the true kind of momentum that it deserves. So I don't know. It's a really good question. The other character of the demon, there's something cool about introducing them first. One of the things that we try and do is start our movie usually tonally with a scene that gives you exactly what you're going to be getting for the rest of
Yeah,
the movie.
this is
Now,
true. Yeah, yeah,
this may not be that movie, but it could be. I mean,
yeah,
our demon is probably badass. You
yeah.
know, how much action? I think this is a pretty heavy action movie. I think this is going to be
Mhm.
intense and have some really cool special effects or whatever. So, like,
Yeah.
what could that look like in our
So as you
open
were saying that, I was
world?
reminded of a project we had years and years and years ago, whereby one of the characters, one of the otherworldly characters, lived in Vegas. And I always like that concept of Vegas being
Yeah,
like the city of
totally.
sin, you know.
Right.
And so I guess, you know, what is our demon? What is the normal world of our demon? They are the kind of person who is what, making bad shit happen, doing bad
Do
things.
they live on Earth
Do
all
they
the
live on?
time?
And that's it. And that's where I'm going. Is, are they here on Earth doing bad stuff? And
And
what is that bad stuff? But that could lead us very, very organically into something big and actiony from moment.
yeah, it could, but I think it might lead us down the wrong path for that hero, for that secondary protagonist, because if we see them doing bad stuff, why I'll be really confused as to why then they want to be
So then I guess my
evil.
question then is what is their redemption arc? You know, if we're saying that this creature is a demon, like I understand what that is. Yeah, demon
Sure.
is an inherently evil being. I don't need to want to see them being good, because then I feel like that is going to
Yeah,
take the place
no,
of story.
valid point. But then why do they want? I mean, we're getting back into character stuff, but
Yeah.
this is what happens. And just so everybody knows that's watching, which you know, the reason we start and we do kind of broad cracking of some of this stuff, but then we kind of go into the structural things, is because it brings up these questions, and through the questions, our characters evolve. So it's a really good question. If we're going to have a demon who at the beginning, the thing that they are bribed with is the opportunity to be human and have a soul and potentially even go to heaven, then they need to want that, right? They need to want that at the beginning. And yet someone who wants that, you wouldn't necessarily expect them doing evil stuff, because that kind of
again, it depends.
contrary.
Again, like there's evil and there's bad, and there's the different versions of that. Because at the start, this demon doesn't think that that's even an option for them. They're not trying to accomplish that because they don't think that that's available to them.
Right, but there's also a reason that our angel or our celestial does come to them and not any other demon.
True. Yeah, this is true.
I do think we need to establish him, if it's a he,
yes, sure.
as a
Funny, I still keep seeing Charlize Theron. As soon as you said that, I was like, it's fucking Charlize Theron. But I think I have to move away from that, because I do think that that's right.
I mean, look, there is a version. Look, I'm down with a version where it's it's a girl, and then we talked about this demon not actually having a gender orientation. So it could be a female actress, and thus not the character is a demon. So they're identifying as.
I know we talked about, are we going to they them in this script? Anyway, okay, let's call her she for the moment, because I'm actually.
So maybe it's a she and a she for the moment. I'm not sure either. And we'll continue to flesh that out. But if she wants, there has to be a reason the angel knows that this particular demon wants something more. And there has to be a reason that the angel knows that this particular demon is someone that they could bribe with this something more and use, because ultimately that's what's happening. And that's what our demon will find out, is that they're actually being used, right?
Totally.
So I feel like there needs to be some kind of odd behavior. Like, okay, here's a pitch. I don't know if it's very good. Use it, not use it, whatever.
Right.
This is what we do all the time. So imagine for a second that the demon, don't walk away from me, Jay.
I'm picturing.
All right. Imagine that we open on a job and it's not just one demon, it's multiple demons. And they're essentially doing something that they've been ordered to do by big bad demon who is not
Powerful.
Lucifer, because we won't all go all the way there, but like a Lucifer general kind of a person.
Mm.
And they're doing this, and our demon is partaking because that's what they do, and we understand what their normal existence is, and that maybe there's even punishment for not partaking properly.
Mhm.
However, there is a moment where our demon makes a choice secretly, where the other demons don't see them, to not go as far as them. To, let's say there's a baby involved and they save the baby, or there's a dog involved and they save the dog. But
Well,
regardless,
there's a cat involved and they save the cat.
they save the cat.
Beautiful.
Save the cat.
Beautiful.
But seriously, like, is there a way to go, oh, this demon's different? You know, oh. Now, that doesn't mean, let's not forget, that doesn't mean that she can't realize that she's already good because of the choices that she's making. And so it has to do with an internal change. Remember, Sam's going on the really big arc. Demon is going to realize that who they are is defined by what they're doing, right? So at the beginning, she could make a really great choice that makes us like her, but she doesn't necessarily believe that changes the fact that she's an evil being and that she'll burn in hell with all the other demons for the rest of eternity. I don't know. That's my pitch.
Yeah, I'm in two minds about it. And again, it comes down to this aspect of arc. What's the kind of choice that she makes at the beginning, and what's the kind of choice that she makes at the end?
Well, I don't think it's about her making a choice at the end that's really different. I do truly believe that, for example, Reese in Terminator makes exactly the same choices at the end as he would have at the beginning. There is literally no difference, and that is totally fine. There is no problem with that. I think even just giving our demon a complex whereby she's genuinely wanting something else and doesn't see the truth, which is she doesn't need that to live the life that she wants. The truth for her is, no matter what the angels or celestials offer her, she could be the person in quotes that she wants to be and live the life that she wants to live and has been drawn to, that is different from the other demons, just by making the choices that she's going to make. I don't think, at least I've never seen, at least, you know, in all 5 hours that we've been working on this idea, I have not seen her as a dark person at the beginning.
No, but so let me be clear about what I see perhaps in my mind. And this is, again, is something that happens all the time, is one of us will pitch something out and not completely verbalize what that is. So say, for example, in fact, it comes back to one of the things we were talking about last week about are the mafia demons.
Okay.
You know, are they doing a bank job? No one dies, but she's part of the bank job. She's doing something that's part of something that's negative. Not killing people. I agree that if you are involved in the death of someone at the beginning, it's very difficult to, you know, well, in this kind of movie, I think, unless you are totally redeeming yourself for that death. But I don't think that's what's happening here.
I just don't think this is a redemption story for her. That's where I'm butting up against it. I don't, that to me would be, okay, it's 100% her movie. It's such a big arc in that sense. And so I don't think.
I suppose where I'm kind of going from it is I don't want to go watching this movie. Well, yeah, obviously she's gonna turn good at the end.
I don't think she's turning good at the end. I think that's where we have different opinions, because I think and then she turns good. First of all, the audience is going to know that that's what it's going to happen.
I know.
So we'd be falling into the obvious trap anyways.
But it's that thing that our friend Dave Matalon always says. It's like, you know what's going to happen, but what you don't know is how.
But here's what I'm pitching, though, is not to fall into that cliche of an arc that, okay, yes, you know what's going to happen, but rather go, let's give her something else that ultimately, because of the change in the way that she sees herself in the world, it's not about her going from being bad to being good, but about her realizing that she has control over her existence, because that's kind of the thematic idea that we're playing with.
Mm.
So her being good at the end isn't about her taking control over herself.
Mm.
That's more of a change of like, okay, she's been redeemed as a soul, so to speak. But I'd rather see her accept who she is,
Well,
be okay with the fact that she's a demon, and that she can be whatever kind of demon she wants to be.
But also, I want to add this story element that we've been discussing, which is what she thinks she's doing to begin with. Because in the current version of the story as exists, Archangel Gabriel comes to Demon and says, we need you to interfere because we think we found the Antichrist.
Mm-hmm.
We need to kill the Antichrist. You need to get the Antichrist to hallowed ground where we're going to kill the Antichrist.
Okay.
That is a good thing for angels and a bad thing for what she might be doing for her fellow demons. Her fellow demons would view that as negative. But ultimately, what is happening here, the death of a person. So when this person, so really what she's doing that is within her nature is assisting in the death of someone. She is behaving ultimately in a morally questionable way at the beginning anyway. It's the fact that she wants a soul. She's doing a bad thing for a good reason. She's not saving Sarah Connor. Her job isn't to save Sarah Connor. Her job is to bring Sarah Connor to hallowed ground so that the angels can kill her.
But you're saying that as if she knows from the very beginning that Sarah Connor's an innocent person, and she doesn't. And that's the difference.
Sure, totally.
But she's not doing on the surface, maybe she's doing a bad thing, but she's not intending to do a bad thing. She's not going after someone to kill them. She's being told by a celestial that this being is evil and that they need to dispose of them in order to save mankind. And so everything that she's doing is good. So it's only through the journey that she realizes the other.
That's fine. Yeah, but so she's not kind of coming into it going, it's more about, so let's take angels and demons out of it for a minute.
Okay.
She is told by she works for the mob. An FBI agent comes to her and says, "Will you betray the mob and go and get this money that the mob is transporting so that we the FBI can get this money? You're betraying your own kind, but you are doing this thing, I suppose, ultimately, in that particular case, that is lawful and on the side." But she is making she's making a choice in this moment to
she's betraying the bad guys. But,
so whatever
they're the bad guys.
Totally hear it. Whatever she's doing at the beginning, again, I don't know that I need it to be extreme as saving a baby. Yeah. I could see her still be doing and participating in quote unquote mob activities, but I must see in some way that she is not happy with this existence. That's the other way of doing it, is that as long as we, the audience, go, oh, you're portraying this version of yourself, you're presenting this version of yourself to the world, but actually you have a secret doubt, a secret something that you're keeping from the rest of your kind.
Yes. I also think that it's the opportunity to go, okay, this person is a demon, but let's be clear,
they're a demon with doubts.
Yes, they're a demon with doubts. So let's. I just want to put here so that we understand. What we're talking about that. Basically, you end up with the demon opening is what we're saying for right now, right?
I think that's right. Yes,
it's a scene where we get to see that they want to
they want
not be in the existence they've been in for millennia.
But
maybe,
honestly,
you know,
don't even see it a clear way out of it.
there is no way out. I mean,
there is no way out.
literally is no
Absolutely.
way
So that's why I feel like it's more like, oh, I'm stuck in this life and I'm unhappy in this life.
Yes, but I think that there's a possibility. So, for example, imagine if this character, this demon, for some reason, and we got to get into the why they feel this way, but for some reason has had a change of heart over the last 100 years, and has decided that the death, destruction, possession, all the bad things that her and her buddies have been doing for the last millennia, it's just gotten old. It hurts inside. She can't keep doing it. It's a meaningless existence.
Totally.
But she doesn't see any way out.
Yeah, there is no way out.
Time, that doesn't necessarily mean she just keeps going along with doing all the same things with everyone. It means that her perspective on her life and her existence has changed, and thus her actions would automatically change. And what she doesn't see, and I think what this movie will help her see, is that actually these actions, this change in her perspective, the way in which she's been behaving, that is actually, that's enough. And that she doesn't need to just assume that she's evil because she's a demon.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I was trying to tie this back into the opening question of going, how is it, like, what is this set piece, and what is this thing? And if she isn't participating in doing the evil things, has this been set up as a kind of test by Archangel Gabriel? He makes a big bad car crash happen right outside her apartment and sees what she does. Or again, I'm just throwing that out. You know, is there a car chase that's going to go right by her? And it's,
I don't think we need a big set piece here. I'd rather start with something small, something contained.
Yes.
I think it also goes to the question of, as we were just saying, it's like, is she living on Earth on a regular basis? Because that doesn't feel necessarily right either. These demons that just kind of walk among us in human form, I don't know that I'm not sure. It's a totally different thing than I've ever seen or talked about.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a way for us to show an opening scene where we meet them in a mini set piece where we get our action and demon effects, whatever that means.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I mean, ultimately, what happens when someone is watching this movie? They go, there's going to be action and there's going to be something otherworldly in this movie, and they see that within 5 minutes. There's no, and again, don't move on, like Dusk Till Dawn. I love what that movie did.
Yeah, the twist there is great.
The twist there is great, but that's not this. And there's a lot of movies whereby that's not the case. You go, I know very early, like Matrix, perfect example.
Sure.
You go in and you go, I'm in this world. I get some awesome wire foo. I get some weird digital shit. I get some agents. I get Trinity. I get a fight. I know what that movie is going to be, and I'm comfortable. And then I can happily sit and enjoy all of Act 1 where none of that stuff happens until the end.
So Matrix is a great example. First of all, I love it. That's totally what I'm thinking. But second of all, here's another pitch for you.
Go.
What if our demon, you're gonna laugh. What if our demon has actually kind of left hell on their own accord
And lives in a cabin.
And lives in a cabin in the woods? Perhaps. No, whether cabin in the woods or not, the point is they've already gone against their kind, but not to the extreme. So they're living on Earth, but against the orders of their kind, against the orders of the regime. They've decided 100 years ago that I'm done. But at the same time, I can't live necessarily.
Yeah, I've done, and now what? Yeah, I
Yes.
like that. I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so something happens here. And
Mm.
in a way, it's like there's a trigger effect of like, does she, for example, all right, let's say she lives in isolation. She doesn't live around humans because she's not human, because she doesn't
Mhm.
age, because of all these,
Mhm.
Highlander-y kind of shit, right? Um, and then let's say she's in town. I'm just imagining like she's like Dexter in the last Dexter, like she goes into this town and she recognizes that there's a fucking demon here.
Oh, that's
She
interesting.
knows it.
That's
And
interesting.
so she ends up trying to ignore it. I don't want to fucking get involved. I don't want to get involved. But the demon is going to possess an innocent little girl.
Right.
And she fucking gets into it with the demon and she
Don't,
kills this demon, whatever that looks like. We get
right.
an awesome moment where she kills the demon and she's like, fuck. Now this demon is dead. Other demons are going to come looking for them, which means
Right.
I got to hit the road.
That's cool. Great. I like that. I think that's it. I think that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
So see now, everybody, we just came up with some backstory for our demon through this structure that we
Yeah.
didn't even have before. This is how characters
Yeah.
grow.
Totally.
So now our demon left hell a century ago.
Yeah. And it's been
She
living
wanted
somewhere,
nothing left.
you know, near a small town. She's taken human form.
Yes. She's Dexter.
Wouldn't it
New
be
blood.
interesting if at some point we saw her in her non-human form?
Oh, I'd love to see. We at some point in this movie,
some
we gotta
point.
see her. We gotta see what she, because honestly, it's like looking in the mirror. Ooh. What if when
Mirrors.
she looks in mirrors,
Yeah.
she sees her demon
true
self,
Yeah,
and
totally.
she hates it. It's like a self-loathing.
That's great. She's got no mirrors in her house. It's like Dracula.
Yes,
you know?
she
Yeah.
fucking hates.
Yeah, it's not that she has no
is.
reflection; it's that she hates her reflection.
Yeah,
and it's
in the
yeah,
world.
and, yeah. The way you said just then, this aspect of self-loathing. We'll make that as a. I'm just going to put mirrors. Going to write it down on my pad. I always have a pad in front of me too, and I scribble down ideas throughout the day.
Can't look in the mirror because of her own self-loathing.
Yeah.
But now another demon
is in town.
And just before they can possess an innocent,
she takes them.
our demon takes them out, destroying their demonic essence. However we decide demons can die.
They can die. It's fine.
Essence. And now she's fucked.
Great.
Right?
Okay. So then I feel like she's driving out of the image I saw was she's driving out of town. She's in her pickup truck, dark road, and suddenly crunch, superhero landing in front of her.
Ooh.
Swerves out of the way.
Yeah, she's driving on a dark road. But here's the thing. Before this, hold on a sec. Before that, we are cutting to
maybe. I don't know yet because I'm still not sure.
Why not? What would be the reason not to?
Well, I guess the question is, what would be the reason to?
Well, because Sam's our hero and we want to show her ordinary world before the demon shows up. And because there's no reason not to at this point.
But here's the thing. If Angel Gabriel comes along and says, you've got to go and find the Antichrist, and then we cut to, what are you smiling about? We got a comment?
We do. We have a comment. Sorry.
Okay, it's all good. I can see Ben looking off. But like, here's the thing. If it's like, you've got to go and find the Antichrist, she's like, fine, I'll go and do it. And then we cut to the person who you would not think in a million years is the Antichrist. I get a fun cut moment of that. Because at the moment, I don't know why I'm cutting to this person. Okay,
I'm down with that. So then we're going really quick. So similarly, interestingly, we're really looking at that's our inciting incident, though. Now we're making in many ways. I mean, that's the thing that's the reason that the inciting incident, generally speaking, is why does this movie happen?
Okay.
This movie
So
would not happen if the
Yeah.
Celestial did not recruit Demon.
What do you think the inciting incident is, though, in Terminator? I'm intrigued to hear.
Inciting incident in Terminator. It's not. I mean, it's that they've been sent back again. I think that the reason the movie happens is because they've been sent back in time. I think that there's not necessarily. What do you think the inciting incident?
I think the inciting is, and again, I haven't got minutes in front of me. At what minute does Michael Biehn turn up in front of? Does Reese go, "Come with me if you want to live"? What minute does that happen?
But that's not That's end act 1. That's not inciting incidents. That's the leaving the ordinary world for the extraordinary world. That's we're going on the run. That is let's see. I actually
have a look. I'm intrigued. You probably
come with me if you want to live.
Probably 20 minutes in, isn't it?
Hold on. Club fights. End act 1, page 36.
Interesting.
It's totally the end of Act 1 because it's a big climactic.
I mean, it's absolutely and where it's happening minute wise.
You could in theory say that the inciting incident maybe is Arnold killing the first Sarah Connor and her seeing it on the TV, but even that doesn't really cause the movie to happen. So in the traditional terms of what an inciting incident is supposed to do, which is the purpose being, this is the thing that happened today that causes this movie to happen.
But again, though, thinking about it in terms of protagonist primarily, it's not, that the machines have taken over Zion. It's that, Trinity meets Neo.
Yeah, in it's Follow the White Rabbit. That's really the thing that gets the movie going, right? And he's there, and like you said, he meets Trinity.
Yeah,
I don't know that inciting incidents. Again, it's like in The Princess, it happened before the movie ever even started. Like, I don't think that they are traditionally at the same point in Act 1.
No, totally. But it's all about
the idea of why if Neo didn't get the knock on his door with the girl with the white rabbit who brought him to the club, then Trinity potentially wouldn't have found him. But there's also you could in theory say that it had to do with what does she say at some point on the phone? She's like, "We found him."
But that's literally the very first moment of the movie, and I wouldn't say that.
No, I know, I know, but that's the thing is like that.
But from point of view of heroes, so I mean, ultimately, the question we're having is the moment where Gabriel goes to Demon and says, "Here's what you need to do. Here's the job." That could be the inciting incident, or is it the moment where? And again, it depends on what information he gives her, because we ended last week talking about why now? Why is this movie happening now? Or have the portents been reached? Are the elements of the prophecy?
If we were cutting away to her and there was some sort of prophetic moment, and that's how they discovered that she was the future Antichrist, then that would be the inciting incident. But terminology aside, the turning point, and the whole purpose of all the lingo terms is just to create emotional turning points that keep moving the story forward.
Absolutely right.
The emotional turning point at this moment is, I have a job for you. You want something, I can give it to you, but you need to do this for me.
Yes.
Right?
Totally. Then she goes to Bumblefuck, Arizona, locates Sam, and then Sam is brought into this story. So I don't know, again, like you're saying, some people could argue it's the moment where Gabriel gives the demon the mission. Some people might argue, no, it's the moment where the demon gets Sam and brings her on the mission, or whatever it is.
Based on the way that you just said it, because of the way that I could almost guarantee this is going to be written, because I know us so well as writers.
It's going to be 12 minutes.
That moment of the demon going to Sam and saying, I'm here to essentially capture her. She probably even kidnaps her, is going to turn into a set piece.
Yes,
and that set piece is going to bridge us right into Act 2, because now we're on the run.
Totally. Yeah. So, like Terminator, we won't meet our protagonist until slightly later.
Yeah. So, and that's full circle. Good job, Jake.
Beautiful thing. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to.
So, but interestingly, that doesn't have to be the way. And as we discussed it through, you could have cut to Sam first. We could have started with Sam. It's all a personal choice.
We absolutely could have.
I think the way that you're saying, though, I like that transition. And sometimes you make these choices literally because of a transition. That's
there you go.
I mean, it's like so silly, but you go, okay, like, oh, I like that beat. Let's make that. Let's restructure it around that.
Yeah, totally.
But the Celestial shows up and gives the demon, the job, basically. I mean, and then we cut to Sam. And at this point, we're going to have our, 10 minutes of Sam's ordinary life.
Again, his attempt, whatever it is, to feel that we are satisfied knowing who this person is.
Yeah, approximately, 10 minutes or so. And then from there, though, all the while, we're going to be tension, because we're going to know Demon is coming, and we know Demon is a demon, and we know Demon has been given a job. Demon is coming for her. And then basically what we're saying is our climax of Act 1 is going to be Demon finds Sam, but guess what?
Yeah, and this is my question. Who then is also hunting for Sam at this moment?
Well, as we had talked about, something that we have not landed on yet. Something has triggered the Celestial knowing that Sam is the Antichrist.
Yes.
There is urgency about this mission. Why is there urgency? Because the other demons are coming.
Okay.
So I think this first climax, Act 1, is Demon kidnaps Sam, but guess who's also coming for Sam?
Other demons.
Right. Ooh, and what could be really cool is if they're in human form and one of them says, "Come with me if you want to live," and they're not lying.
That's really interesting.
Because from Sam's POV, the person who's going to ultimately be the hero is the bad guy. They're trying to kidnap her, but these other demons, from her point of view, are trying to save her.
That's interesting. We're going to play with that. Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know how it plays out in
I'm not sure either.
In a week. Demons are coming too, and we get big
fun set piece. Yes. Now, has our demon, is she, per your question earlier, I'm not quite sure how you kill a demon. Is she, and has she prepared herself to be able to kill other demons just in case anyone came after her at some point? Does she have the blessed blade? Does she have the awesome rounds that she can load into her gun and blow people away with? Or is it just as simple as long as I kill you, we're good? And that's hard.
Yeah. We'll have to figure out what the demon kryptonite is. It's funny to those viewers watching who haven't seen the news. John Constantine is getting a sequel.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I am super excited about, because I loved the original, even though it didn't, wasn't necessarily everything that everyone wanted. And we were literally just talking with Bad Robot recently about, would you ever have Keanu Reeves in the Constantine sequel?
Really?
And here we go. But Constantine is one of the closest, I would say, movies that deals in this world. It's so different plot-wise. I'm not even worried about that for a second. But it deals in this world. And I want to be careful about not using their rules and not using their mythology in any way. But I think what we're talking about right now doesn't. But also the question of, what is a demon's kryptonite? How do we come up with that thing that allows you to kill demons? Well, I mean, let's try and flip that trope on its head. What is it? I don't know. If a demon, for example...
Donuts. It's donuts. Going back to donuts.
Donuts. Well, I was just going to say is, let's say if a demon is has taken on human form,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe they can just die. Like, what if, for example, the only way a demon can affect our physical realm is by becoming a physical mass, and thus
Possessed.
that also then allows them to die.
So I suppose though is per what you were saying earlier about does she stop a demon from inhabiting the body of a little girl? I don't want these people to be innocents. When our demon kills someone, I don't want to go, oh, you just killed Bob the greengrocer. He never did anything wrong just to get this demon out.
Oh, no. I don't think they're possessing people.
Oh, okay.
I think they literally take on like
people.
Human form.
Right, great.
Like imagine if a demon was like a ghost, okay? But that ghost can't touch anything in the real world. They can't do anything in the real world. But they have the power to become solid. And when they become solid, they take on human form and thus can affect things in the real world. But that also leaves them vulnerable, because if they die in that place, they can't become ghostly demons.
I think it's a good jumping off point for the rules on it. I have some questions, but maybe we'll kind of get.
There's a lot of. We're going to have to come up with the rules.
And guys, I want to pause our session
on rules.
Totally. I want to pause our session and just talk about. Well, speaking about Constantine, one of the things we said we're going to do is that we're going to watch another movie this week, so that we can come either tomorrow or on Wednesday with that. And again, this is part of our filling the well process, watching movies that we are inspired by, that live in a similar space. Again, so that we can borrow but not steal from or get inspired by. So let's have a little look at the ones we had. So we watched both Terminator and Midnight Run. The next two we have on our list are Constantine and Legion, both dealing with angels and demons and things like that.
I'm happy to watch Constantine.
Okay, then I will go ahead and watch Legion. So we will go ahead and we will do that. And maybe we'll talk
over
about
the course of this week.
Over the course of this week. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Cool. I just want to acknowledge the people that have commented, because I really appreciate when people engage here. So Chris, thank you so much. Watching us try and navigate the yes and while respectfully disagreeing with our writing partner. This is literally one of the ultimate skills of being a writing partner. And we talk about it, Jake and I, all the time when people ask us. It's about respecting the other person and having trust and knowing that you can disagree and that no one will take it personally, and that you can toss out bad ideas sometimes and no one will judge. Of course, we're doing this live in front of everybody, so you'll all disagree and you'll all judge us. But as long as we don't judge each other, we're okay.
Yeah, totally. And I think as well, it's this aspect, and we talked about this. We're on a podcast. It's like we're serving this idea. We're serving this screenplay. It's not egoic. It's not born out of love. I have the best ideas. Blah, 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 blah. It's about mining and exploring an idea. So we disagree all of the time, like all of the time. But actually, it is those disagreements that we build upon to generate an even better idea. And in that way, I do genuinely feel that me and Ben become greater than the sum of our parts. We become greater than our individual ideas and contributions to our individual scripts. So, I think this is just a part of it. And, but you do have to figure out a way to do it. And it does take time. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then I know we're like way late we're like 50, we've got a minute and a half, but we were talking about something earlier today, and our intention with this podcast was really just to write a spec, but sometimes our jobs and our business are part of what we do. And in fact, writing is probably only 50% of what we do. And we were talking earlier today about reps and navigating reps. And Jake, you said, we should talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, totally. Well, do you want to do it? I think we'll just dedicate 5 minutes to it right now. Yeah. So by reps, we mean agents, we mean managers, and to a lesser degree, lawyers as well.
Although they're not lesser, we love our lawyers.
No. But in terms of this conversation,
yes.
So so both me and Ben come from acting. We both used to be actors before we became screenwriters, and I very much had an opinion about an agent when I was an actor. That my agent gets me work, and I think that for actors, I think that is true. They are the ones picking up the phones to the casting directors. Oh, you've got to meet this guy. He's really good. And while you may go and audition, and you get the job yourself, it's really the agent making all those things happen. And I think where we're at the moment is we're kind of going as writers. We have great agents and a great manager who we really, really love. And ultimately, I think it's about, and what we were talking about earlier was, how do we use our management for what we want? Now, in an ideal world, they are out there picking up the phones, calling studios and going, what open writing assignments have you got? Da, 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 da. But I think open writing assignments, which are writing jobs that a studio has for a writer. For example, oh, we've got this Batman comic. We're looking for writers. We've got this video game. It said that's called an open writing assignment or a rewrite of a script. There's only a very small handful of writers that I think are probably getting those calls. Maybe 100.
They're hard.
But so our job is to give our agents a job. Ironically, the other way around.
Yes, and I think that's right. And one of the things we were talking about is, your agents and your managers, they work on a 10% commission of everything that you do. But really, as writers, we look at ourselves as entrepreneurs. We have Lustig and Thornton is our business, and it's a business that makes money. And so anyone that we are paying, we want to earn that money just like any other business. But if you have a business and you hire someone and then you don't give them something to do, you're not a very good boss. You're paying them, but you haven't given them anything to do.
Right.
You also have to know that when you hire someone, they have a certain skill set and they only can work certain hours, and you're hiring them with that knowledge. And I think with a lot of writers, and even Jake and I in the past have gone in going, well, wait a minute, you need to be working for me, and well, I'm not getting enough attention and all of this stuff. And it's like, well, wait a minute, no, we made the decision to bring you on, and we're giving you 10% equity in our business. And for that equity, we have to be realistic with what we expect of you. And you have a really long client list, and only so many hours in a day, and only so many hours to dedicate to us. So how can we give the best job to the people who have the best skills to do it? And one of the things that agents have and are amazing at is forming relationships and understanding the industry inside and out in terms of where things are at, what things are selling, who's got what, all of these things. And so, one of the things we were talking about is use the people that you're hiring for the things that they're good at. We have a project. We need it to go to producers. Who has the relationships of our team to go to those producers? Well, our agents or our manager are the people to go to with that. That's what they are there for. If we have an idea and we want to know if it's a viable idea, or are there 100 scripts around town that are the exact same thing, who's going to understand the industry? Our agents or our manager. If we need an actor attachment, that's where we go. So, and by focusing and going, well, actually, these are the jobs I've hired them for. You remove the stress and frustration and disappointment of not having them do all the things that they're really not hired.
And ultimately, it's are you sitting around waiting for the phone to ring, or are you taking an active participatory role in your career? Are you making it happen? This is us doing something. And when this script is done, we will send it to our agents. We will go, where is a good home for this? Who are we going to bring on? Who are we going to attach to this project? At that point, we're using them. Now, here's the thing. If during that time the phone rings and it is, oh, by the way, Warner Brothers wants a rewrite on Batman, great. That's gravy. That's icing on the cake. Awesome. But I'm not expecting that because I am in charge of my career.
And it's
am the
about
one.
Yeah, it's about being realistic about your own business too. It's like if you're a startup, you can't expect to be doing the kind of sales that Apple's doing. And so if you have a sales manager, you can't expect them to be bringing in those kinds of numbers. It'd be idiotic. So if we're writers who are successful writers, and we've worked really hard to get to where we are, but we're not on the top tier list yet, whereby we're getting incoming calls, well, we can't expect our agents to field calls that aren't coming, So that's not their fault. And of course, there's other things, and this is very broad, and we're kind of glossing over certain things. But based on where you're at in your career, if you have representation, number one, that's fantastic, and you should be proud of that. But look at that representation, manager, agent, and go, why did I bring them into my company? What value add do they bring to this company that I can't bring to myself? And then use them in that role. And look, if you go to your agent with a script and you say, what I need from you is to package this script, and then they don't do it, well, then they're not doing their job. And you have every right to confront them on that. And just like any other employee, if they continue to not do their job, fire them. We've fired lots of agents over the years, which honestly, probably unfairly, because I think we had unfair expectations.
I think we had unfair expectations. I agree.
And I actually, if any of those former agents are watching out there, we always loved every one of you on a personal level, and I think we've grown a lot professionally to realize that we're very thankful for the ones that we have today, and our expectations are getting more reasonable, not completely reasonable.
You should always be a little bit unreasonable, I think.
Always be a little bit unreasonable.
We should wrap this up because we're at an hour and 6 minutes. Ben, great session today. Thank you as always.
Yes, fantastic session. Thank you guys, all of you with your eyeballs on us today. If you missed the beginning, or if you want to listen to this instead of watch it, we are on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
And this episode will be up as soon as possible. And also, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes, help us get that vanity link. Help us
exactly. Get it. We need a vanity link because our link right now is terrible. So find us on YouTube as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one.